The 12 tribes of Israel, and we have to start somewhere. How about with Abraham and his wife Sarah? They have a son, Isaac. Isaac grows up and marries Rebekah from back east, and they have 2 sons, Esau and Jacob. We're focusing on Jacob. Later, his name is changed to Israel. So talking about the 12 tribes of Israel, you could just as well talk about the 12 sons of Jacob. Back in the east again, Jacob falls for Rachel, but ends up married to her sister Leah. Jacob and Rachel eventually do marry, but Leah has a head start and gives Jacob 4 sons, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah. Rachel is unable to conceive, so she gives her handmaid Bilhah to Jacob, and Dan and Naftali are born. Leah does the same thing with her handmaid Zilpah, who bears Gad and Asher. Next, Leah becomes pregnant again with Issachar, Zebulun, and Dinah, the only daughter mentioned. At last, Rachel, still Jacob's favorite, is able to conceive. Joseph, favored by Jacob but sold by his jealous brothers into slavery in Egypt, Joseph rises to power and ends up saving his family from starvation. Reunited because ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good. Jacob also loves his youngest son, Benjamin, the 12th son. Rachel dies during childbirth and is buried near Bethlehem. So after all this, it is Leah who is buried in Hebron, along with Jacob and Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, and Rebekah. And we should also mention 2 children born to Joseph in Egypt, Manasseh and Ephraim. So is this list something we should memorize? I don't know, but we should know Levi, Judah, Joseph, and Benjamin. They play an oversized role in the biblical narrative. Altogether, the 12 tribes give us sort of a backbone or a frame for the story. Genesis 29 and 30 describe their births. Then in Genesis 49, a dying Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Hear ye, sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. We'll go over what he says in detail, linking it with what comes next. The family grows in Egypt from a few dozen to hundreds of thousands. The book of Numbers gives statistics according to the 12 tribes. After the conquest of the Holy Land, Joshua, from the tribe of Ephraim, distributes the land based on these 12 tribes, so genealogy is linked to geography, is linked to history, because every judge and every prophet and every king is from a city, a region, and a tribe. Deborah is from Benjamin. Gideon is from Issachar. Jephthah is from Manasseh. Samson is from Dan. Samuel is from the land of Ephraim. Saul is from Benjamin. David is born in Bethlehem in Judah. We know this from the Christmas story. Solomon is born in Jerusalem, which according to this map is in the land of Benjamin. And if you're thinking that Jerusalem should be the capital of Judah, it is the capital of the southern kingdom of Judah, but that's in the future. We are talking about the 12 tribes. Reuben, reading from Jacob's prophecy in Genesis 49. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, the beginning of my strength. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou went up to thy father's bed, then defiled thou it. And this describes Reuben's actions with Bilhah. Yes, that Bilhah. Reuben also played a key role in the violence against Joseph. The jealous brothers planned to kill Joseph, but Reuben suggested only throwing him in a pit. It seems that maybe Reuben planned to rescue Joseph later and then maybe win back favor with his father, but Judah convinces his brothers to sell Joseph into slavery. Reuben is an example of how the first can be made last. He is outside looking in on the promised land east of Jordan. Simeon and Levi get a combined blessing, quote-unquote blessing from Jacob. Simeon and Levi are brothers, instruments of cruelty, for in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dug down a well. Cursed be their anger, their wrath, for it was cruel. I will scatter them in Israel. The cruelty was exercised against Shechem. After their sister Dinah is abused, Simeon and Levi deceive and then massacre an entire town. Simeon was the smallest tribe by population. Levi, Levi received the same quote-unquote blessing as Simeon. Cursed be their anger. I will scatter them in Israel. Moses and Aaron are descendants of this tribe of Levi. And then we have, after the Exodus, the apostasy of the golden calf, at the golden calf, and Moses asks, who is on the Lord's side? And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. This is the end of the priesthood of the firstborn and the beginning of the Levitical priesthood. So we see that the tribe of Levi is not given a territory, but given cities throughout the entire land, uniting the other tribes of Israel together. And I was careful. Earlier I talked about Samuel being from the land or being from the region of Ephraim, but Samuel was from the tribe, from a city of Levi. Judah, despite harming Joseph and other sins, Judah receives a much greater blessing from Jacob. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. He couched as a lion, as an old lion. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. More about Shiloh later. King David and King Solomon and all the southern kings and Jesus are from this line, from the tribe of Judah. And John sees a book with 7 seals that no one can open. But then, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and loose the 7 seals thereof. Dan shall judge his people. He shall be a serpent by the way, that bites the horse's heels, so that the rider shall fall backward. The troubled judge Samson was from this tribe. But then later, the tribe will move north, which is odd, and this will give rise to the phrase from Dan to Beersheba, from Dan the tribe in the north to Beersheba, a city in the south. And perhaps this is why Dan is left off the list of tribes from Revelation chapter 7. Naftali. Naftali is a hind let loose, or a deer let loose. He giveth goodly words. Naftali is described along with Zebulun as a, quote, land that has seen a great light, described that way in both prophecy in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. The people which sat in darkness saw a great light, and to them which sat in the region of the shadow of death, light is sprung up. Our Lord Jesus spoke goodly words in this region. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at last. Gad supplied troops for David. Many other tribes did too. We also recall the Gadarene demoniac. Do you know why you called him a Gadarene demoniac? It's from the tribe of Gad. A troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Asher. Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Asher is blessed, described as blessed in Deuteronomy 33, although that doesn't really say too much because all the tribes are blessed in Deuteronomy 33. You could read through those blessings. They're not quite as exciting reading as Genesis 49, but blessed is Asher. Let him be favored among his brothers, and let him bathe his feet in oil. The bolts of your gates will be iron and bronze, and your strength will equal your days. The wealthy cities of Tyre and Zidon are from this region. Issachar. And he saw that the rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant under tribute. This is a wealthy tribe, but its wealth attracts the Assyrians and the Romans and other occupying armies. Zebulun. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for a haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Described again with Naftali as, quote, a land that has seen a great light in both Isaiah and Matthew. And this land is the scene of Jesus' earthly ministry in the north, but I'm a little confused about the ships part. We don't seem to be bordering either the Sea of Galilee or the Mediterranean Sea, but it reminds me, however, of St. Paul sailing off on his missionary journeys. Dinah is not given any land, which does seem unfair. But then, during the wilderness march, women from the tribe of Manasseh returned to this issue. Our father died in the wilderness and had no sons. Why should the name of our father be done away from among his family, because he hath no sons? Give unto us therefore a possession among the brethren of our father. And this request is accepted. Joseph, the forgiving hero who never forgot his love for his father Jacob. Joseph is a fruitful bough. The archers have sorely grieved him, but the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. The blessings of thy father hath prevailed unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brothers. And what land does Joseph get? Lots of it. But Joshua divides it among his 2 sons. Remember that Levi did not get any region of land, just cities in the land. So by splitting Joseph into Manasseh and Ephraim, we have kept the number 12. Manasseh, note that we have some of this tribe east of the Jordan River. You might read about the Trans-Jordan tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. Ephraim, let's remember that the leader Joshua, Moses' successor Joshua, is from the tribe of Ephraim. And one note about Jacob's blessing. Joseph asks Jacob to bless his 2 sons, his 2 half-Egyptian sons. Jacob, still unpredictable, reaches out his hands but crosses them and gives the second-born son Ephraim the larger blessing and the firstborn son Manasseh the other blessing. I joke that Jacob wanted things in alphabetical order. One more tribe, Benjamin. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. Many leaders, Ehud, Saul, and Paul, come from Benjamin, but the cruelty of this tribe leads to civil war. And these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father spake unto them, and blessed them every one according to his blessing. He blessed them. Does this geography tell a story? We could mention the 10 lost tribes, the tribes taken out of the land during the Assyrian captivity, but those tribes will be used as hooks to regather the entire world and reunite the world. The divided kingdom, the southern kingdom of Judah, Benjamin, and Judah standing alone. And in a way this is fitting because back in Genesis, Judah interceded for Benjamin before Joseph. The story is complex, but basically Benjamin makes it down to Egypt and then is accused of stealing and threatened with prison. Judah, who played, we've said before, a key role in selling Joseph, refuses to let Benjamin stay in prison in Egypt. You can't take the youngest. It will kill my father. Take me instead. And after Joseph hears that, the family is reconciled and reunited. But looking again at the map, we notice that Simeon is in the south too, and many Levites must have stayed in Jerusalem to service the temple. 1 Chronicles 9 also talks about Ephraim and Manasseh returning. So geography does tell a story, but it's never a simple story. Or consider this. When Joshua brought the Ark of the Covenant across the Jordan River, he set it up in Ephraim. But Eli's sons misuse the Ark, and it is captured by the Philistines. They hold on to it for a while, and then it's taken to another city, Kirjath-Jearim in Benjamin. Then David famously takes the ark to Jerusalem, where Solomon builds the temple. You see what's happening here? The priestly line is being taken from Ephraim to Judah, being reunited with the kingly line. Speaking of which, a young traveler spends longer than expected in Jerusalem. When his parents find him, St. Joseph is relieved and ready to return up north, to one of those so-called lost tribes. Ready, set, let's journey down to Nazareth. Getting away is just the best for me.